I'm not going to do that. Yeah, not that. This is Bob Garfield. This is my lounge. Today's very special guest is John Caddell, Vice President of Digital Marketing A. You know, that is a title that means almost nothing because it is so all-encompassing. So just for review, let us discuss all of the things that digital marketing embraces, including outgoing and incoming and buying and creating online ads and you name it.
Sure.
Yeah, and as soon as you tell me all of the things that come under that rubric, then you can tell me what's the one that we should be paying most attention to.
Sure. Digital marketing is all-encompassing, and it's always changing. And there's a reason for a very general title, because there is no one solution or one tactic that we should be focusing on right now. We should be really focusing on understanding the consumer and our clients and how to best bring those two together in this new digital space. And not only just in the digital space, but an integrated space that includes offline media. I mean, even going to billboards or television. There's been a lot of question and conversation about digital versus traditional. And being involved in digital marketing for over a decade now, I had to be an advocate for digital marketing, and I always presented the case for it and defended it. But today I believe that it's important to understand digital's role in the marketing mix.
Quick follow-up question. What is digital's role in the marketing mix?
Digital is it's best used as a pull medium. It's a way to allow consumers to choose to engage your brand, where they raise their hand and say that they're interested, as opposed to outdoor or TV, where it is a push and interruptive approach. But those have their value too in creating awareness. There are a lot of attempts and movement to try and understand attribution and the relationship between the different mediums. And I believe that as...
You mean what makes one finally go to a purchase?
Sure. How many times does someone see a TV ad and then finally do a search on Google? And once people do that search, how many actually click through to that site and convert or engage in the way that the agency or the marketer was hoping to?
I'm shocked and I'm ashamed with you, John, because everything I also tricked you and trapped you, because everything you've said till now has been all about your engagements with consumers.
Correct.
Revolving in one way or another about the brand and the transaction. But you didn't say a thing yet about leaving all those transactions out of it and just trying to find out what's going on in this great world of ours, all of which you can discover by listening carefully online.
Sure.
You didn't mention that.
Well, that's a part of it. Amazing thing about digital is that everything is documented, and people are using it as a platform to share their thoughts with each other and just the world. And if traditional research, companies would conduct focus groups, which you had a panel of 9, usually influenced by a strong personality. You can go out and listen to any conversation about any topic, go back and look at it historically, do a current snapshot, and you can follow and track and trend. And what this will show is what consumers are interested in, what they like, what they don't like. And you can then even identify these consumers and start to segment them to identify who says what. And that gives some insight into as far as crafting your message, buying your media, and presenting the appropriate calls to action to the appropriate people. So listening it's a tool that and a capability that marketers have never had the ability to use before. And I believe that marketers are struggling with this disruption of media, and that listening is the tool that marketers can use to actually gain the upper hand and the advantage in understanding consumers better than they understand themselves.
And not to put any words in your mouth, because I would never do that. But it seems to me that to the extent that social becomes more and more paramount in digital marketing, that it's impossible to accomplish any of your goals without listening to the people who you were trying to engage with your brand.
You're guaranteed to fail.
Social sphere.
You're guaranteed to fail. And it's a tool that is readily available to anybody, and that marketers fail to understand and acknowledge and really value and use as a tool. And it starts on the client side for the research department to understand that this research is available, and many times it's free.
All right, that's swell, but I got to say I'm just absolutely ashamed of you, ashamed, and Here's why. I know something about your history, and you just described for me all the different ways that marketers can kind of go out and find and discuss stuff with potential customers. But you didn't talk about the whole other aspect of digital space, as you would call it, and that's the ability to pay attention to the conversation that's going on without you. Listening. I call it listenomics. I don't know what you call it, but this is one of those areas where you have had in your career a moment of clarity. So tell me one of those moments of clarity, and then I want to ask you about a couple others before I boot you out of my lounge.
Sure. I call it active listening, and I think the term is irrelevant, but the practice is what's important.
Oh, in that case, just use listenomics. That'll be fine.
Listenomics, okay.
Okay, good.
I'll play nice. During my time at ING, I ran digital marketing for ING US. We did a test and a pilot where we did listenomics. And we monitored conversations online for the course of a month about the topic of retirement planning and the specific products and practices within that, such as rolling over your 401k or securing life insurance. And we were able to also then take a look at who was involved in the conversation, who's saying what. And it really allowed us, we also tracked sentiment, whether it was tracking up or down. People liked the topic or not. And we were able to gain some really valuable insights that you couldn't obtain through a focus group. For instance,
the company had been talking to this group as if it were a monolith, and in fact was divided into people who behave and viewed the subject very differently.
Absolutely. And the financial services industry as a whole does this. They basically, it's very inside out, and they put the burden of to the consumer to understand, the intricacies of their different products and services without clearly defining the actual benefit to the consumer. So what we were able to find out is that consumers looking for life insurance, really all they wanted to do is get a good price. And that's paramount to their consideration process. Whereas people who are just starting off to plan for retirement want information and education. They're looking for tools to help assess where they're at, where they need to be, and then some advice on how to get there. We're also able to identify different roles that people play. The younger generation, younger people will come on and get into forums more so than like a Facebook conversation, because personal finance is very, very, very personal, and people prefer to engage in anonymous forums. But they would ask questions.
And so you were able first to segment the market, and then rebuild the website in order to give different people different paths into ING.
Absolutely. We identified 5 need states.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Okay, now another eureka moment. You were at Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Working with Coca-Cola.
Correct.
And long before Facebook was anything more than a college hobby. And what did you discover?
Well, we launched Coca-Cola's first website for their NCAA championship sponsorship, and the approach. So this is back in 2002, and the approach was that we were going to identify and allow consumers to group together in what we were tribes. It was essentially the tournament would determine who the best team was. Coca-Cola was going to determine who the best fans were. So fans could go to this website, register, pick the team that they were rooting for, and then engage in a number of different activities online, which included playing games, posting comments, rating comments, passing along content to their friends. And the idea was to get people to come to the site and come back often, and then refer others to the site. And we're able to see that people really want to engage, and they want to be vocal, and they want to be heard, and they want to support things they believe in, which in this case was Coca-Cola and their favorite basketball team.
A proto-social network, and you understood then that this was like the next big thing, and
absolutely,
lo and behold.
It always has been.
So, leading to my final question, and I don't care whether you answer it well or poorly, because you're still getting kicked out of the lounge. What is the next big thing? What's your last eureka moment, and what does it tell us? What can you tell us about the digital future?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the personal web. I think that it's going to be people pulling the web together in their own, basically aggregating all the content and experiences on the web into their own personal lens. And I think the marketers that understand that and can allow the greater personalization on an ongoing basis are going to be the ones that win.
Like that app on the iPad, Flipboard.
Flipboard, yes.
Thank you, person who theoretically doesn't exist for the purposes of the lounge.
Flipboard might be. You know, again, I caution anyone to get too close to any one tactic.
All right. I caution you to say anything else because then it's just going to get ugly. John, thank you very much for coming in the lounge. Thank you for leaving. You too. This is Bob Garfield. You've been in the lounge. Now please go away.